Listen, good evening from the news center. Good evening from the news center here in Morovia at Freedom Communications Incorporated. Welcome to the Wednesday, August 2021 presentation of Freedom News Basket. 45 minutes of the happenings making news in Liberia. And here's where we are your presenters, Jeff Jefferson.
With it Tukpa.
The top developments are following tonight. President George Weah encourages young Liberians to take advantage of educational opportunities being provided by his government, reiterates his administration's commitment to support education.
Former Defense Minister Brandon Samuka, his deputies Newman Dockard and Joseph Johnson to reappear at Criminal Court C this Thursday to provide explanation on the completion of the 50% payment of the Armed Forces of Liberia pension money.
Supreme Court of Liberia nullifies the Liberian National Bar Association suspension of the former chairman of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, Wabuduki. Thus, Ndubuisi Wabuduki orders the Ministry of Justice to take seize of the matter and investigate as to whether Wabuduki is a citizen or not.
As well from Liberia, the first group of 51 evacuees from Afghanistan has arrived in Uganda.
The details of these developments, the voices of the newsmakers, the news bulletins post the foreign developments are all packaged in this edition of Freedom News Basket. Willie Tukpa will set the pace with the bulletin.
President George Weah has declared that his administration will continue to take steps in direction of creating a better environment for young Liberians to prepare themselves and get ready to take full advantage of the opportunity for accepting to present themselves both now and in the future. Speaking Tuesday, when he delivered his 174th National Flair Day message, the Liberian leader particularly encouraged Liberian students to take their education serious as it is the key to better future. President Weah also assured the nation that his government will continue to pay WACS fees for 12th graders, provide financial support for their tutorial classes, while also ensuring that the free tuition policy at the state-run university and all public colleges in the country is being fully implemented. He accordingly called on students to take advantage of opportunities afforded them and pledged to continue listening to students in determining how government can improve their education. At the same time, President Weah urged citizens to continue to show respect for the rule of law. He reminded citizens of the significance to have a peaceful and stable society where rights are guaranteed against those who use the rights to infringe upon the rights of others. The management of the National Port Authority says its attention has been drawn to a publication by Smart News Liberia linking the NPA management as managing director Bill Torwey to corruption at the Port of Buchanan. Smart News Liberia in its August 24th publication claimed that the suspended manager of the Port of Buchanan, Charles God, alleged that the amount stolen from the Buchanan Port account was 1.5 million USD and not US 200,000, in which he linked Director Torwey. The publication further stated in a short dispatch from the U.S. Guard indicated that the NPA managing director personally withdrew the $1.5 million on the title special ordered and made away with the money without written communication from the NPA Buchanan Port accounts. But the National Port Authority, through its Director of Communication, Malcolm Scott, termed as unfounded, false, and misleading the online publication. Scott further noted that he finds it baffling when the paper references purportedly made by God were contained in a dispatch from the United States when it has established that there's absolutely no dispatch where the suspended Buchanan Port manager made the specific claim of involving Director Bill Torwey. The NPA spokesman further clarified that contrary to the purported claims being reported, all revenues from outstation Port Greenville, Harper, and Buchanan are not kept in the outstation port's accounts, but rather channeled to the NPA central account, which makes it impossible for a single individual to effectuate unilateral withdrawal. He maintained that the NPA investigated God and Kamara over allegations of opening a bogus global bank account where both admitted to depositing over 300,000 United States dollars for personal gains. Police in Margibi County have finally charged and sent to court Apostle Franklin Slaughton for allegedly raping a 21-year-old pregnant woman in Kakata City. His writ of arrest was served at the Kakata Police Detachment, after which he was subsequently taken to the Kakata Central Prison due to mounting tension surrounding the case. Pastor Slaughton was charged for allegedly committing the crime after spending 5 nights behind bars at the Women and Children Protection Section of the Liberia National Police in Margibi County. Slaughton, who is the senior pastor of the Philadelphia Church in Kakata, is currently at the Kakata Central Prison, commonly known as Kataha, serving his pre-trial detention after he was accused on August 20. According to police charge sheet, in the possession of this station, defendant Slaughton attempted solving the crime in avoiding discharge, that's disgrace and embarrassment, by providing 400 Liberian dollars to the survivor and also made several telephone calls to her pleading. Defendant Slaughton, who is believed to be 54 years, was charged in line with Chapter 4, Subchapter D, Section 4.70 of the new Penal Law of Liberia and sent to court for trial. The Supreme Court of Liberia has notified Liberia National Bar Association suspension of former chairman of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, Busi Wabuduke, and ordered the Ministry of Justice to take seize of the matter and investigate as to whether Wabuduke is a citizen or not. According to the court, The decision to take the Liberia National Bar Association, that's the decision taken by the Liberia National Bar Association, is tantamount to disbarment, a penalty which can only be imposed by the Supreme Court. In the court's opinion, the LMBA has no authority to conclude that its membership that's procured fraudulently, thus expelling that member. The Supreme Court further recognized that the LMBA was established by an act of legislature as the umbrella organization of all lawyers, with an authority to govern the practice of all lawyers, but say the LMBA is not clothed with the authority to expel its members from law practices. According to the Supreme Court, said decision only lies in its purview. The court further noted that as an arm of the court, the NMBA aids the Supreme Court in exercising control, has a grievance and ethics committee that works, of which two organs are not mutually excluded. Similarly, the court has ordered the Ministry of Justice to investigate and, if deemed necessary, take the matter to court. At the same time, the court said if the Ministry of Justice see it prudent that Waburuke process to obtain his nationalizations as a Liberian nationalization has some mistake, these mistakes should be rectified if it deems necessary. Barely a day after Apostle Franklin Slaughter was charged and sent to prison for allegedly raping a 21-year-old pregnant woman in Kakata, Magibi County, the father of the 21-year-old woman, Harris Moba, has aligned stigmatization and security threats over his daughter's life. Speaking with reporter Wednesday at his residence in Kakata, Magibi County, the father of the rape survivor said since the incident occurred, members of Apostle Slaughter Church still do not believe that their pastor committed the act. As such, his daughter's life is at risk. According to him, since the arrest of Apostle Slaughter by the Liberian National Police, he had been receiving strange calls from unknown individuals calling him to compromise the case. He alleged that some of the individuals have texted him offering to provide him money if he compromised the case. Molu, that's the father of the rape survivor, at the same time lauded the Liberian National Police and in the matter the media for their involvement, noting that his focus is now justice. Deputy Finance Minister for Development Planning, Tenan Brusson, says government has entered a memorandum of understanding with the University of Witwatersrand, South Africa Center for Learning on Evaluation and Results, Anglophone Africa, to support the government quest to strengthen its WAME system. Speaking Wednesday at the launch of the Clear EE program, Minister Brusson said, as part of the process, the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning with support from Clear EE conducted a country M&E situational analysis to understand the state of M&E in the country. According to Minister Brusson, findings show that although there are existing evaluation systems at both national and sub-national levels, along with fluctuating opportunities for evaluations capacities strengthening, there still remain non-existence of a centralized coordination structure. She, however, noted that the existing evaluation system is particularly in the public sector and is inadequately guiding government. The Deputy Finance Minister for Development and Planning noted that evaluation is largely considered within the context of external resources for donor requirement in all African countries and are mostly commissioned by international development partners. She added that the Ministry of Finance Development Planning, with support from Claire AA, has developed a strategy for the implementation of a monitoring and evaluation capacity strengthening program for Liberia. Former Defense Minister Brandon Samuka, Newman Doko, and Joseph Johnson are expected to reappear at Criminal Court C this Thursday to provide explanation whether or not they have completed the 50% payment of his Armed Forces of Liberia pension money and was mandated by the Supreme Court. The total amount in question is US $1.5 million, and the 50% was expected to be paid within 6 months period, which expired on August 10. The lower court in its ruling on March 24, 2020, held the three liable for theft of property, criminal conspiracy, and misuse of public funds. But the Supreme Court, in its recent ruling, dropped the charge on misuse of public funds. According to the lower court, failure to restitute the money would lead to Samukar's imprisonment for 2 years, while Newman Docker and Joseph Johnson risked a sentence of 6 months and 1 year in prison, respectively. However, following the lower court's ruling, defense lawyer requested for extension in time and took an appeal to the Supreme Court to address the matter. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has modified the lower court's ruling, stating that the three equally committed a crime and bear equal punishment. The United Nations High Commission for Human Rights in Liberia Wednesday officially commissioned the Gender Desk Office at the Law Reform Commission, including the presentation of office materials. The General Unit for Police, that's policies implementation, aimed at ensuring gender mainstreaming is realized and compulsory at government entities is in fulfillment of the National Action Plan of 2018-2022, especially within the security sector. Speaking at the commissioning ceremony, the country representative of that's OACHR, Yuchinan Iminoi, said funding for the initiative is under the European Union Spotlight Initiative, which calls for the ending of sexual and gender-based violence in Liberia. Education Minister Ansu Soni has lauded local and international partners for their continued support to the education system of the country. Speaking Tuesday at program marking Liberia's 174th National Flag Day celebration, Minister Solin lauded development partners, including the European Union, for supporting TVET education in Liberia as World Bank for enhancing and upgrading secondary school education in public across Liberia. Well, that's it for the bulletin. It's back to you, Jeff, for the continuation of the news.
Many thanks to Willie Tukba for reading us the news bulletin. Willie will read us the foreign development later. If you just joined us, a reminder you're listening to the Wednesday, August 25, 2021 presentation of Freedom News Basket. 45 minutes of the major happenings making news in Liberia and elsewhere. These are top developments we're following tonight. President George Weah encourages young Liberians to take advantage of educational opportunities being provided by his government, reiterates his administration's commitment to support education. Former Defense Minister Brandon Samuka and his deputies to reappear at Criminal Court C this Thursday to provide explanation on the completion of the 50% payment of the Armed Forces of Liberia pension money. Supreme Court of Liberia nullifies the Liberia National Bar Association suspension of the former chairman of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, and the Busi Wabudike orders the Ministry of Justice to take seize of the matter. Away from home, Rwanda will host dozens of schoolgirls being relocated from Afghanistan following the takeover of their country by Taliban militants. Let's bring you the voices of those behind the news. President George Weah has declared his administration will continue to take steps in the direction of creating a better environment for young Liberians to prepare themselves. Speaking Tuesday, when he delivered his 174th National Flag Day message, the Liberian leader particularly encouraged Liberian students to take their education seriously as it is the key to a better future.
All students to take their, as we celebrate this 174th National Flag Day, I encourage all students to take their education very seriously, for it is the key to a better future. With certain major policy changes we have initiated, we are beginning to turn around the negative narrative about the Liberian educational system. As a leader, we believe in the importance of education. I could not sit back and watch our students continue to face the WISE examination while falling behind their counterparts in the region. We continue to pay the WISE fees for 12 graders and provide financial support for their tutorial classes, while the free tuition policy at the state-run university and all public colleges in the country is being fully implemented. We have to make other interventions to eliminate those barriers that make it hard for students to study. These measures are intended to ease the financial burden on parents and motivate our children to stay in the classroom. I therefore urge all students to take advantage of the opportunities that are being afforded to you. We will continue to listen to you to determine how we can improve our educational experience, such as improving school facilities, having more qualified teachers in the classroom, and having better instructional materials. We are committed and determined to removing these hurdles. Together,
At the same time, President Weah urged the citizens to continue to show respect for the rule of law and for the legal authorities. He reminded citizens of the significance to have a peaceful and stable society where rights are guaranteed against those who will use the rights given them to infringe upon the rights of others.
Floridians, let me admonish all Liberians to continue to show respect for the rule of law and for the legal authorities. Too often these days, we have seen people go beyond their rights to free and peaceful assembly and engage in the destruction of private and public properties. This is unacceptable. You may recall that from the onset of my administration, I committed to ensuring that the democratic rights of everyone will be guaranteed, regardless of who they are. We remain committed to that pledge. However, it is very important that we balance the need to have a peaceful and stable society where rights are guaranteed against those who use those rights.
Is Liberian President George Weah speaking Tuesday when he delivered his 174th National Flag Day message.
Barely a day after Apostle Franklin Slaughter was charged and sent to prison for allegedly raping a 21-year-old pregnant woman in Kakatamagibi County, the father of the 21-year-old woman, Harris Moba, that's the father of the 21-year-old woman, has a lying stigmatization and security threat over his daughter's life. Speaking with reporters Wednesday at his residence in Kakatamagibi County, the father of the rape survivor said since the incident occurred, members of Apostle Slaughter Church still do not believe that their pastor committed the act as such his daughter's life is at risk According to him, since the arrest of Apostle Snotto by the Liberian National Police, he had been receiving strange calls from an unknown individual calling him to compromise the case.
Like I told all of the additional who came here to talk to me, I told them, for me, my life and our honors chairs and tensions, psychologically I was unbalanced. There was no way me that I will be in there crying, so forth, so on. Because my wife, my daughter is pregnant, and that kind of thing will happen. My worry is my daughter's life. So justice, that has been my call. I have been calling for justice in all of the interviews I had. I calling on the government and all of humanitarian institutions to come to my aid, because if they were not for God first, and some of you guys intervention as a media practitioner who took this thing and started to fleck it to other institutions that are responsible for this kind of incident, it would be easy for me. Because I want you to just imagine someone old pregnant woman go on the kind of things. It worry me. But I don't have it. Like I said to you, we're trying to overcome. Gradually, we are trying to overcome this, because the proceeding we started first. Gradually, the police. They're wrong now, because for me, I was not living in my house. I was just sitting here because police were doing an investigation, right? So I was at my house, women will come, or they want to do this one, I want to do this one. For me, I was just believing in God. And as God will have it, that's one of the reasons. Even they're not only stigmatization, security as well. Because can you imagine, when the thing started, member of that particular church, the Philadelphia church, they still don't believe that yes, this can happen to them. Still, one of the pastors came here. He said, I swear before God and man, my apostle can do it. So when the police started to ask me, he said, for me, I'm not here to beg. Hey, what? He left from here. He left from here. So they were still in the denial stage. For me, what all I was crying for, people came begging me, oh, let's do this one, let's do that. I said, no, for me, I will not do it, because this thing has gone. There's a first degree felony, right? And national government now, they're interested to the case here. They go to the police stations, let the police do the investigation. If my dollar lie on nothing, it will be proven. That was the question. Even when I had a press conference, the first thing I said is alleged. It's alleged. So today, we went to court. Finally, I think the court charged him and talking to the Kakata prison center.
He's the father of the rape survivor there, speaking with Film News.
Deputy Finance Minister for Development Planning, Tenant Brunson, says government has entered a memorandum of understanding with the University of Witwatersrand South Africa Center for Learning on Evaluation and Results, Anglophone Africa, to support the government quest for strengthening its wide MME system. Speaking Wednesday at the launch of the CLARE AA program, Minister Brunson said as part of this process, the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, with support from CLARE AA, conducted a country M&E situation analysis to understand the state of M&E in the country.
That every day I come into the office and see the boxes I got, because those boxes are not supposed to be in my office, it's supposed to be delivered. But the bureaucracy of making sure that I don't give those boxes to my friends. I oversee the office in Nigeria. That power is not absolute. Somebody is delivered.
Let's apologize for the wrong excerpt. It will come up in our subsequent newscast. With a couple of minutes past the half hour mark, let's now enjoy Thomas Kojorola at the Sports Desk to bring us the passion. Good evening, Thomas.
Good evening, Jeff. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Passion of Life. Freedom FM has been reliably informed that the Lone Star of Liberia may likely travel to Nigeria with our head coach Peter Butler. According to information gathered, the national team was spotted training on Wednesday, August 25th, with our coach Peter Butler, who is yet to sign a new contract, despite the Liberia Football Association and the Ministry of Youth and Sports announced his contract extension last week. Since the contract expiration of coach Peter Butler in August, he is reportedly yet to sign a new contract, as was reported by the Liberia Football Association. Since 2 weeks, the Englishman was reportedly told that his contract was under-reviewed by a lawyer, but since then he is yet to receive the new contract for extensions. Meanwhile, Butler is expected not to travel with the national team due to the current situation. Liberia has been banned from hosting international matches by the Confederation of African Football because of substandard stadium. The decision from CAF followed an inspection conducted by CAF and FIFA inspectors on August 18, 2021. According to CAF, the national page of Liberia is very poor in condition and damaged in many areas, including the field of play and the warmer area, and among others. According to a communication sent to the Liberia Football Association on 24th August, CAF has requested the Liberia Football Association to play a second game of the 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifier against Central African Republic in Cameroon at the Stadio de Reformation Stadium in Douala, Cameroon on 6 September 2021. The amputee national soccer team of Liberia has kicked off official training activities ahead of the Tanzania 2021 Amputee Africa Cup of Nations, which is expected to be played this November. Making the disclosures to Freedom News this week, at one of its regular practice sessions at the SKD Sports page, head coach Victor Benson said he can show Liberians of victory in this time. According to Coach Benson, with the government support of the one-legged national team, he has the conviction as head coach the Lone Star will bring back joy to the Liberian people. Also speaking, the president of the Liberia National Amputee Football Association, Copper George, acknowledged that the federation credited over $3,000 United States dollars worth of sporting materials to begin preparation ahead of the competition from local business people in the country. And former Liberia national team shortstopper Edwin Kai is recommending criteria to the Liberia Football Association in the act of selecting players for the national team. According to Kai, players should be selected on the basis of being developed from the Liberia Youth National Team, adding that the Liberia Football Association should focus on building the junior national team and preparing players for the senior national team. The former national team shortstopper, in an interview with Freedom News during a week, confirmed that he will travel with the Lone Star of Liberia to Nigeria for the opening game in the Qatar 2022 World Cup qualifiers in Lagos. He, however, said his traveling with the team is to motivate the players to provide better results to ensure that the national team can be in Qatar next year. And that's the shape of the sports. It's back to you, Jeff Jefferson, for the continuation of the news.
Thomas Kujorola in the Passion, a regular feature on Freedom News Basket.
United Nations High Commission for Human Rights in Liberia Wednesday officially commissioned the Gender Desk Office at the Law Reform Commission, including the presentation of office materials. The General Unit for Policies Implementation aimed at ensuring gender mainstreaming is realized and compulsory at government entities is in full fulfillment of the National Action Plan of 2018-2022, especially within the security sector. Speaking at the commissioning ceremony, the country representative of the OHCHR, Yushinin 9, Mallory, said funding for the initiative is under the European Union's Spotlight initiative, which calls for the ending of sexual and gender-based violence in Liberia.
That every day I come into the office and see the boxes I got, because those boxes are not supposed to be in my office, it's supposed to be delivered. But the bureaucracy of making sure that I don't give those boxes to my friends. I oversee the office in Nigeria. That power is not absolute. Somebody is delivered. It's making sure that boxes are delivered properly. And that checks and balances is why we had that delay. So, Chairperson, I'm sorry that it was quite delayed. The next issue that I want to raise is who is the gender officer? Because I would have been failing in my due diligence if we're delivering this equipment without the staff that is in that office. So you are very instrumental to the function that we are doing today. And the essence of this, if I may go back to the funding that we are generating the resources for this. That resources is coming from the EU-UN Spotlight Initiative, which is aimed at ending sexual and gender-based violence in Liberia. So that is the focus. But that focus is still now falling within the bigger parameters of the mandate of Law Reform Commission. Somebody will say that Law Reform Commission is the technical and expert team of drafters who should be able to draft well. But if all of us who are Christians and Muslims will agree that even the Bible, if you scan it today on gender equality threshold. Maybe even our Quran, if you check it on grounds of our standard for gender equality today, the language of he, she is not appropriate, my friend. So if the guiding framework of our philosophy of our religion might be questioned on grounds of gender equality.
Education Minister Anso Sonin has lauded local and international partners for their continued support to the education sector of Liberia. Speaking Tuesday at program marking Liberia's 174th National Flag Day celebration, Mr. Sonin thanks diverse development partners, including European Union, for supporting TVEC education in Liberia, as well as World Bank for enhancing and upgrading secondary school education in public schools across the country. Minister Sony at the same time thanks UC, UNICEF, and UNFPA for partnering with Liberia in helping revise the curriculum and host of other development programs in the country.
I, Professor D. Asusoni, Minister of Education, wish to recognize the support from external parties, the development partners, the EU for TVET education support, the World Bank for enhancing and upgrading secondary school education across our country in public schools, to the GPE, Global Partnership for Education, for providing support for the improvement of early childhood education across this country, particularly in the counties in the southeast, which are considered hard to reach. We thank the UC for partnering with us and them, the UNICEF, UNFPA for helping with the curriculum, and a host of other development partners and philanthropic and individuals in the same regard. To the education stakeholders and players, teachers, principals, education officers, NTAL, that's the National Teachers Association, NPAL is the National Principals Association of Liberia, the PTA, Parent Teachers Association of Liberia, all students, higher level institutions, basic and secondary early childhood. I thank you for the job so far done, but with expectation that we can do better, with greater service to our people. Each of our roles, whether a teacher,
His Education Minister also Sonin.
Liberia's 174th National Flag Day orator Malai Sharif has proffered recommendations to government aimed at reigniting the spirit of the national ensign. He wants government to broaden the scope of national dialogue through investment in programs that promote peace and unity. Sharif recommended the mandatory singing of the national or national patriotic songs at all official programs, adherence to hosting the flag on all public buildings as a mark of respect, and the rigorous enforcement of a compulsory non-movement of people when the flag has been hosted, among others.
We need to broaden the scope of our national dialogue by investing in national programs that promote peace and unity. The singing of our national patriotic songs be mandatory at all official programs. There should be adherence to hosting of the flag on all public buildings as a mark of respect. The opening of patriotic clubs on schools' campuses for the purpose of providing a forum for mentoring and teaching the next generation the value of peace, unity, and our flag and its significance. The need to decentralize official venues and speakers for August 24. Transcribing the national anthem, the Lone Star forever and the pledge of allegiance into our national vocabulary, making it part of our daily lives. There should be a need to have a national flag days project or dedicate a tourist site or something as a historical reflection of our diversity and unity. There should be a rigorous enforcement of a compulsory non-movement of people while the flag is being hosted. It is my ardent hope that these recommendations will be accepted as potential tools for promoting the real intent of our flag, national unity, reconciliation, and peace. As we observe this day, let us rise above pettiness, hate, and division. Let's retrospect on our road of
Is Liberia's 174th National Flag Day orator Malai Sharif. The Stakeholders United for the Development of Liberia has organized a one-day gathering of like minds in Painesville. Speaking during the event Tuesday, the chairman of the organization, Alex Kokolo, stressed the need for unity despite difference in political affiliation. Kokolo, who is a former representative candidate in District 4 Mozzarella County, used the occasion to admonish the attendants to let go of differences during the 2017 elections.
This gathering, like I said, is very sophisticated. In fact, I describe it as the most sophisticated gathering since the history of my life. And what makes it most sophisticated is that for gathering like this to exist in our contemporary period is difficult, because those that are involved in our contemporary period don't understand contemporary, because they consider politics to be something that we have permanent friends and we have permanent enemy. And so when they draw the line forever. There are politicians, when they draw political line, they draw it and feel that certain things are happening because they are happy, they draw line, it becomes perpetual. On a serious note, in politics, there are no up. There's no permanent friendship and there's no permanent enemyship. The derivation of this gathering is such that there are men, on a serious note, that brought light to our ambition. There are men that gave rise to the ambition of us taking District 4 from the past. In fact, the concern started as of 2011. We did not take the challenge 2011. Automatically, at the end of the day, we came to the point where we were not understanding one another in one direction as relates to being together to have the vision accomplished. Social gathering, political gathering. Obviously, we should consider to be common issues as a hallmark of the day.
He's the chairman of the Stakeholders United for the Development of Liberia and former representative candidate District 4 Montserrat County, Alex Kokola. Let's now rejoin Willie Tukwaturi as the foreign developments.
The first group of 51 persons evacuated from Afghanistan have arrived in Uganda. The group landed at TB International Airport aboard a private chartered flight on Wednesday morning, Uganda's foreign minister said in a statement. The ministry says the group is transiting through Uganda and will move on to the US and other countries. It is not clear for how long they will be hosted in Uganda. The evacuated persons include men, women, and children who have undergone COVID-19 tests and will go into quarantine, the statement said. The evacuation followed the U.S. government's request to Uganda to take in some of the people fleeing the country. There's a crisis in Afghanistan since the Taliban took over. Last week, a Ugandan junior government official told the BBC that Uganda was to take in 2,000 Afghan refugees at the request of U.S. government. But several senior government officials later said discussions on the issue were still underway. Uganda hosts more than 1 million refugees who have fled severe conflicts and other disasters across Eastern Africa. Well, that's it from our end. It's back to you.
On that note, this is how we conclude today's Wednesday, August 25, 2021 presentation of Freedom News Basket. Just before we leave you, these were major developments we followed. President George Weah encourages young Liberians to take advantage of educational opportunities being provided by his government, reiterates his administration's commitment to support education.
Former Defense Minister Brandon Samuka and his deputies to reappear at Criminal Court C this Thursday to provide explanation on the completion of the 50% payment of the Armed Forces of Liberia pension money hours mandated by the court.
Supreme Court of Liberia nullifies the Liberia National Bar Association suspension of the former chairman of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, Debozo Wabudike, orders the Ministry of Justice to take seize of the matter.
As well from Liberia, Rwanda will host dozens of schoolgirls being relocated from Afghanistan following the taking over of their country by Taliban militants.
Many thanks to our contributors, correspondents, reporters, editorial team for making this presentation of Freedom News Basket. The sources. Thanks for viewing. Thanks for listening. The invitation is yours to join us tomorrow morning at 6, at which time we bring you Freedom News Insight. You can also follow us online on freedomradioliberia.com for more news. Thanks to DJ Stanley Namwe for sitting at control and able to coordinate the sound system. Chris Sapo sat behind the camera. Many thanks for listening. On behalf of the team, my name is Jeff Jefferson. Good evening from Barovia.